All right, Jay Mewes with us here. Something I wanted to ask you right out of the gate. We just lost Ozzy, and you had posted
Yes.
that you were on vacation with him
Yeah.
in Hawaii, but no details were discussed.
Yeah. And I love it. No one's asked it because it was so many years ago. I was so bummed because I was looking for pictures and I realized I didn't have any. I even went back and watched the episode. And like when they were filming,
Of the Osbournes?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So sorry, yeah, let me start. So Jack and I lived together for a while.
No way. Okay.
Yeah, Jack and I are friends, and we lived together for a bit. And when they were filming that, he was like, "Hey, we're going to Hawaii. Do you want to come with?" And so Jack brought me, my friend Mike, excuse me, and his other friend. Like I knew Mike, this guy Mike, I was friends with. He lived with me too. But yeah, man, I got to go to Hawaii with them, and so surreal for me because, again, you don't in the filming you don't see us really crossing paths
Yeah.
much. Because they're always filming him and his wife, and then me and Jack goofing off and Mike. But like every night I got to eat dinner with him, and it was so surreal because I grew up. I have an older brother; he's 7 years older than me, and so I grew up listening to Black Sabbath and Ozzy. One of the best stories I'll tell you is when I first came to LA. I still didn't live here. I had met this girl Kim, and I was hanging out with her. We like went out one night, and I wind up sleeping at her house, and I didn't realize till like the next morning. I like woke up and I was all sleepy, and I'm in a car, and I wind up like sort of in a fog. Look around, I'm like, holy crap! I'm in a car with Lionel Richie's kid, Rod Stewart's kid, and Ozzy Osbourne's kid. No lie, I was driving down. Like Jack came and picked us up, and he had what's her name, Richie, with him.
Nicole.
Yeah, Nicole, sorry, Nicole, and then Kim. I was with Kim, Kim, Rod Stewart's daughter. It was just such a surreal moment. But that was the first time I met him. I met him through Kim, and we got to know each other, and we became friends. But it was so surreal. Like again, I feel like I didn't really chat much because I was intimidated. I find myself. It happens a bunch. People always like, "What was it like working with George Carlin? Like, what? Tell me some stories and things." And I'm like, I actually don't have any because when we were filming, he would sit and talk to Kevin about his stand-up, his books, and all this stuff. But I was so intimidated to like, I didn't want to chime in and say something stupid that I would just sit and listen and be like, "Oh, okay, okay."
Yeah.
And it was similar like at dinner with him. But yeah, it was the trip itself was amazing. We went and did like fed sharks in the shark cages. We did a bunch of really cool things for the show. But yeah, hanging out with him, it was amazing. And I found myself, I was telling my wife, when I got the news, I like found myself tearing up. Like
Yeah.
it's not like I want to say I was friends with Ozzy, but
You knew him, yeah.
yeah, he's like he is a legend, but also I knew him, and I like got teary eyed, and I was a little surprised by that. But yeah.
But that's one of the cool things when you start making a name for yourself and you get a chance to meet your heroes and work with them. Like you said, it's pretty surreal to be like, I'm on vacation with Ozzy. I'm doing a scene with George Carlin, whatever it may be.
Yeah,
You know,
it's been awesome.
because for you, it seems to me like starting your career that like you're like the dude. It's like, hey, dude, you want to go get a taco? Sure, I'll come. Hey, you want to make a movie? Sure,
Yeah.
I'll make a movie with you, Kevin. It seems like you're thrust into these massive movies,
Yeah.
almost kind of like, sure, I'll be involved.
Yeah, and even especially Clerks, like Kevin asked me exactly that. He's like, "Hey, I'm writing a script. I wrote a part for you. Will you be in it?" And then I was in it, but even after that, it wasn't like I was like, "Wow, we made this movie, and this is what I want to do." It was like, "Oh, that was fun," and now I'm going back to roofing. I was putting roofs on houses. That was my job, and it was like that even after Mallrats. I mean, Mallrats made it seem a little more real because it was a Universal movie and we were in Minnesota. And then right after that, I did another indie movie with this guy, Malcolm Ingram, in Vancouver. So all of a sudden now I'd done Clerks, I did Mallrats and Drawing Flies. But afterwards, I still worked roofing for like, I didn't stop working roofing and delivering pizza till about Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. Like Dogma, I started working less. after Dogma, but yeah, it took years. And yeah, it just, for a while, I was just like, man, it's something maybe I can do, but I don't know. And it's rough. It's still, I mean, even now, like I do a movie, I feel like I do a movie here,
Mhm.
episode on a TV show maybe here, but mainly it's been stand-up comedy for me now. So,
Which we'll talk about. You have some dates coming up, but it's interesting to me because basically you're playing, in the biggest movies that you've done, you're
mhm.
playing yourself,
Yeah,
but it's not really yourself,
yeah,
especially now. But
yeah,
it's almost kind of like wrestling. I'm Chris Jericho. I
yeah,
play the part of Chris Jericho. It's not really me, but it is kind of me. Was it
yeah.
hard for you to play yourself and then figure out a way to play yourself within these movies?
It was, especially again for Clerks. Kevin like was so blown away because when we started filming the first few scenes, I was so like, Stooch to the nooch, because I was so nervous. But I also just didn't like, I didn't, excuse me, when I read the script and saw the dialogue Kevin wrote for me and all the things I was saying and doing, like I knew I had said those and done those things, but I didn't really pay attention because I was just obnoxious as a 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old. And I would do these things, but it wasn't like I was planning them like, oh, I wrote this thing and I'm going to say it right now.
Right.
So now all of a sudden there's a camera in front of me and it was like, say and do all these things.
Yeah.
And Kevin had to almost like teach me to be myself by like being like, okay, you're like, are there any balls down there about the biggest pair you've ever seen? Like, because I would be like, "What's the biggest pair you've ever seen?"
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I was so nervous. So it was hard and different. And then as each movie went on, I got a little more comfortable in front of the camera. I sort of learned to play myself. And then the great thing is Kevin like adapted the character in each movie almost as I grew up. Like, when I turned 19, 18, 19, I couldn't be say the things and do the things I did as a
Yeah.
15-year-old because I'd get arrested. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had to learn to be like, okay, now I have to filter what I'm saying before I get myself in trouble. And especially now, I mean, it's even like,
It's a different world.
yeah,
now,
it's a different world now. So it was tough playing myself and learning to figure out how to play it and be comfortable in front of the camera and all of that. So,
Were you surprised when Jay and Silent Bob? I mean, I remember Mallrats, I think, is when I got, kind of turned on to you guys. When you guys became basically cultural, I don't know if icons is the word, but you became part of the pop culture zeitgeist of the 90s. Did that surprise you? Because suddenly, saying Jay and Silent Bob, we're quoting these ridiculous Snoochie Boochies, and the one I still always laugh at. Michael J. Fox, like a
yeah.
like it's the dumbest thing ever, but we're quoting this with our friends, going,
Yeah.
"Man, those guys are great."
No, it was definitely, especially because Clerks. They didn't even put. Well, they put Kevin on the poster, but it was Kevin Smith, the director. But they didn't even mention in any articles or interviews or anything. Jay and Bob weren't really mentioned. And Mallrats, there was only like one person that did an interview like quoted like Jason Mewes who plays Jay, you wonder what Rocky crawled out from under and if there's any more like him. But it was like one person mentioned me.
Yeah.
So it took a while and then all of a sudden I like went out and people were like, oh my God, you're that Jay guy. So it was surprising. It ain't something I expected. And it is awesome. Someone just said yesterday, they were like, which I never looked at it this way, but they're like, when I hear nooch or snooch or whatever, it's like that's language that's going to be on forever.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of you, just like shizzle makes you think of Snoop Dogg,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I was like, wow, that makes sense. And yeah, so it's really cool because it's not something I expected. I didn't think like, oh, when I was a kid, I used to joke so much. And people, so they didn't get upset with me, I would be like, nah. Because instead of being like, oh my God, I'm just kidding, and try to spit all that out, I would just go, nah. And that meant, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
And then it turned into nooch and then snooch and then all that. So
that's what that means.
Yeah. It's sort of, that's how it started. So
you almost created your own word.
yeah, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like you could put, it's funny. I wonder how if you can how one goes about putting a word in the dictionary and having the definition.
Well, exactly. Like who came up with the slang of cool?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what could you just use anything? Like, man,
Yeah.
that shit is bottle, yo.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
exactly,
how
yeah.
does it become a thing?
Yes.
But you did that.
No,
you know?
it's pretty cool. It's awesome. It is. Yeah, it's surreal to me because again, it is something I just started doing and saying all the time, and then we sort of adapted. It just kept changing the snooch and snooch to the nooch and snoogans, you know.
How was it for you when you started becoming famous? Because I mean, once again, we talk about Clerks, which made the rounds in the VHS tapes, not a
Yeah.
big deal. Then Mallrats is in the theaters. I
Yeah.
think Dogma was number 3. No, Chasing Amy was number 3. And I remember being so disappointed the first time I watched Chasing Amy because Jay and Silent Bob don't come until the end.
Yes, and then one scene.
One scene, but now you watch it and it's genius.
Yeah.
But I was just like, we just wanted the more Jay and Silent Bob you could get, the better. And suddenly here's this kid from Jersey, like you said, you know, knee, and now you're becoming a celebrity.
It was, you know, I feel like it happened slowly and again, it's just like, it's been a weird thing. I still never like to say like, hey, I'm famous or whatever. Like my kid will be like, hey, Dad, are you famous? And I'm like, oh, I'm recognized.
Depends who you ask.
Yeah. I'm like, you know, some people recognize me. Sometimes people, especially in the beginning when she was younger and people would come up and be like, can I get a picture with you? My kid would be like, why is that person asking for a picture? It was so foreign for her. But I still feel weird about that because I feel like there's like, you know, there's people that like if you go somewhere you get recognized every 5 feet, and I feel like I get recognized maybe once a week. But when I started getting recognized and when what I love, and it's almost like I get spoiled. I told my wife to say that Kevin and I had our own cruise, Jay and Bob's Cruise Askew, and so I've only done one cruise ever. Any cruise, like it was just our cruise, and I was like, man, the bummer is though now I don't know if I could ever do a regular cruise because I was so spoiled. We had the Haven room, we had people like we were going through back doors to figure out where to go, and I feel like that's when I realized like, wow, like we're sort of like we just went the other day. I went to my first soccer game, and it was really nice. The Jeter guys invited us. And they have like a room where you hang out and you can watch the game on the TV. But if you want, you can open the door, walk down this path, and you're on the field. I literally, a ball came and I picked it up and threw it back to one of the players. It blew my mind. And now I'm like, this is awesome. But I don't know if I can go to another game if I'm not in this thing. So I feel like that's when I'm like, wow, this is like surreal. Like, wow, I'm like, these cool things have happened going on, you know, again, going to Hawaii with Ozzy and Jack and stuff like that. Those are the moments but I feel like most time when it's like I wake up in the morning and I'm trying to get my kids ready for school, I don't really think about it. So I still have trouble with the idea of it, I guess. So
well, let's talk about the cruise because you guys are doing another one. I've had 6 cruises with 6 men. I think actually I might have given Kevin the idea because he was asking me a lot about the cruises. It started for us when we played the Kiss cruise. Then I had this idea we can do wrestling at sea. Then years later, Kiss asked us to come back on the cruise. And I was like, I can't come back unless you put me in the Haven. I need to be up in the Haven. And when you're in this world, like you mentioned, like everybody is there to see you. And then how is that for you? Like in your world, did you enjoy the cruise experience?
I did. You know, it's great because I feel like the people that come to see us are like super, for the most part, are super pleasant and super like respectful. Like the thing I realized, and it's funny because I don't want my wife to get mad, but is I brought my wife and her mom and the 2 kids, and it was great because we had that big space. But I realized that when I wasn't there doing either the podcast or we read scripts and I did my stand-up, when I wasn't doing my events, I wanted to go to the, like, you know, there was the all night disco and there was the poker tournament but I couldn't, like I wanted to hang out and help out with the kids because they were bored and there was only certain things they could do and they enjoyed themselves. But I'm saying I felt like I couldn't really give my all to like, hey, I'm gonna go hang out for 2 hours in the casino, play poker with some of the peeps that came to see. So like this next one, I was like, she's like, I really want to go, and I was like, I don't want you to get mad at me, but I feel like I should go alone this time so I can like go hang out at the casino for 3 hours and like do the poker tournament
Yeah.
and stuff. But I enjoyed it either way. But like I mentioned that also because not only was everyone like, it was fun hanging out with people when I did get to. When they saw my family, they were super respectful and super helpful. Like my wife brought the baby down to get food, and you know the people were holding the elevator for her, and like super nice. So it was great. It was cool, and I feel like that's sort of like the balance because it's funny. Before we did that, I talked to this girl and her husband is on like Hallmark movies. And I guess they have these Hallmark
cruise,
cruises.
yeah.
And she's like, look, he has to have security because the women are like, "Ah!" and like trying to grab him and do all this stuff. And
Yeah.
I was like, it ain't going to be like that for me. And it was hard. I'm like, I don't know. But so she made me nervous for a minute, but then I was like, that ain't going to happen. And it didn't happen. I mean, everyone's super nice. And but it would be interesting to be on someone else's cruise to see, how Kiss is treated or how you guys are treated.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Well, it's the same thing though. I find, the first day everybody's excited because my kids are older, so I do what you were just talking about. I go watch everything because I book all the acts, all the bands, whatever. And I people like seeing me watching some of the stuff.
Yeah.
But they don't really bother you after a day or two because you're just kind of hanging out. It's like a Chris. And you'll find that too if you do get a chance to go and hang out and just see people. Are just like, you go to the disco for a bit and they're like, hey, there's Jay.
Yeah.
That's just kind of like everyone's there for the same reason to have a good time.
Yeah.
know?
It was fun. I'm excited to do that again. And then we have our Chronic Con. Kevin, from Reboot. Kevin made the Chronicon in the movie, and he was like, we should make that real. And it's nice. These guys helped us put it together last year, and it was great. And we're doing it again in, I think it's October or November. So I'm excited about that, too. It's been awesome. Again, I'm glad Kevin, Kevin comes up with these ideas, and he continues to be like, hey, let's do a cruise. And again, it's also other people. Like, the great thing is, like, I think, like you said, you probably gave him the idea, and then he tells Jordan, my wife's Jordan, who
that's now his manager, kind of.
Yeah, and she's like talks to like the people that run the boat and the cruises, and then so like all happens. But it really has been a blast. Like those are the times like I really dig doing the events. We have our comic book store still, and I miss Kevin. I'm bummed because I had my stand-up shows. And Kevin just had an event at the Stash for his birthday. And usually I'm there, and it's been fun. Like at least once or twice a year, we do events at the store, and people come to the comic book store, and we take photos with the huge Funko Pop Jay and Bob we have in the store, and stuff like that. It's a blast.
Kevin calls you, you're his hetero life partner?
Yeah, hetero life, man. Yeah.
And has there ever been any project that he came up with that you didn't do? Because it just seems like he comes up with something and you're included.
Yeah, he did for a movie. When he did Red State, he didn't put me in it, and I understood. But it was his first movie that wasn't.
It's kind of a horror movie, sort of, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like a more serious. It was about the cult, not cult, but like Christian, and it was a real serious movie, and horror, drama. And he was like, I'm really worried if I throw it, because I was like, let me be cop number 2. Somebody said, I just want to come hang out for a week on set while you're filming. And he's like, yeah, but I'm really worried that like people are going to be involved in this like dramatic movie and be into it, and then all of a sudden you come up as a cop number 2, and they're like, "Oh my God, there's Jay, Snooch to the news."
It's like seeing the boom mic in the shot.
Yes. So he was really concerned. So there was that movie I wasn't in because of that, and it made sense to me. Same with Tusk, because after that, the next horror movie he did was Tusk, and the great thing is he had me come out. And I like produced that one with and I got to be on set and I helped out with stuff. So that one I got to like help out and do other things with it. So, but he didn't want to put me in it again because he's like, look, this guy like kidnapped them and he's sewing a walrus, turning him into a walrus. And I don't want you to come in and they're like, Stitch to the dude, And so I understood, I really did. But yeah, so those were the couple projects that he did. And again, I understood it. So,
obviously we're laughing about the Snooch, the Nooch, and that sort of thing. But some of the films that Kevin made were pretty deep. Like Dogma is very, and so is Chasing Amy. But Dogma in particular delves into some pretty heavy very, thoughtful type topics.
Yeah.
How was that for you coming in as the snooch guy?
I know churches were like protesting
Yeah.
and people were really upset. I don't know why. I'd say I believe I have my religion. I grew up with my grandma and believe in what I believe in, but I don't know. I never dove deep into the meaning of like the loophole in the church and like what Kevin meant by it, as much as it was just fun for me, um, and especially because in that time, honestly, when I went out to do the movie and read the script, I was really in a bad place with drugs.
Mm.
And I winded up, I went out 2 months, like about a month early with Kevin because I had just gotten sober. And he's like, you're going to stay with me and you can't leave my side because I need you to stay sober so we can film the movie, make this movie. So even though I didn't have to be there, I went out to Pittsburgh with him like a month and a half early and stayed in a hotel room with him. And when he had to go to the office to like do wardrobe and locations, and I had to go with him everywhere. And I couldn't leave his side. So all I would do is read the script over and over and over and over. And I ended up memorizing the whole entire script.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I had literally read it every day, 2 times a day, because I didn't have anything else to do.
Right.
Like there was no I didn't have a phone to play video games or anything. So I mainly did that and like went with him and tried to like watch a little bit and learn about some other stuff. But the actual meaning of it, again, it like it never like went from like, hey, I'm gonna make this fun movie, and play Jay and get to work with all these awesome people. I think it was more like, oh my God, I get to work with Alan Rickman. I don't want to disappoint him.
Yeah.
And I get to meet Alanis Morissette and Chris Rock. It was more of that than like really like, wow, like I have to play, the Jay I'm playing is trying to like figure out, because again, I feel like I'm still always goofy, like I'm trying to go down like on a nun, you know what I mean? It's like goofy stuff like that.
There
with
is
Carrie
those elements,
Fisher.
yeah.
So it's, and then me being like, what happened to Alanis Morissette? I just honestly, like, I was in a weird place, and then like I just was like, I just want to make sure I get this character and I do the best job I can do, so I don't, like, Kevin got me all scared. He's like, Alan Rickman's in this movie and he's British, dude, and they created acting, so you can't mess this up. Yeah. So he had me all nervous, like, oh my God, what if Alan Rickman, I'm doing a scene with him and I forget my dialogue, and he's like, what is this? This little funny foul-mouthed kid is messing everything up. So yeah, it was more of that, and I didn't get the protesting and really like the meaning of it, where I know people will come to me at meet and greets at my stand-up shows and be like, man, Dogma's the one for me. Like, it really like had me feeling a way where I was struggling with religion. It really helped me hold a place. And again, I feel like I don't know if I just don't think that three-dimensional or in that deep, or I'm just like, it was a movie for me and fun. So it was.
Working with Kevin, and you mentioned like the fact that he said you have to stay by my side at all times. Like, that's a pretty good friend. Have you guys ever had any rifts between yourselves?
No, he's a great friend. All the years of like the ups and downs of the drugs and stuff, and him being disappointed and upset, we got into like 2 fights ever, and one was when the first year or so we met. He got upset with me because I had a hologram. We were collecting like me and him started connecting because of comic books. Like, I was younger and he was older, but he was working at this community center, and I'd go to the community center after school every day. And that's where I started getting to know him, because he'd always be reading comics, and him and Walter Flanagan from Comic Book Man would be talking about comic books and going to comic book shows. And so they would give me their old comics, and I fell in love with comics, and I got lucky and I got Marvel X-Men cards, and I got a Wolverine hologram card, and it was sort of rare. And Kevin's like, man, I'm collecting the cards. I've been waiting for that, looking for that one. He's like, I'll buy that off you, or I'll trade you something. And I was like, I'll definitely give it to you. Let's just figure out what it is. But then I made a bet with Walt Flanagan at Foosball for like 50 comics, or I'll give him the card. And Walt beat me, and I had to give it to him. And Kevin was so upset with me that he's like, "You promised that card to me." And it wasn't like he was super mad, but he like wouldn't talk to me for a few days. And again, that was like in the beginning of our friendship. And then years later, he got really upset with me once because I was just complaining when I was withdrawing. So Dogma, like I got sober and then I did the movie. When I got back home, I started using again, and then we were gonna do Jay and Bob Strike Back, which was like our movie now. And again, I was a mess. And he's like, "I need you to come get sober so we can make this movie. This is the biggest like budget we had ever. We were the main characters." So I went out to LA with him, and same thing. I stayed in the guest house at that rental. They were renting a house for him and his family, and I just kept complaining because I was sick. I was dope sick, and I was like, "No, I don't want to go with you." And I was sort of whining and complaining, and he got really upset. And he's like, "Just do it," because he didn't really understand. Like in his head, it was just like, "Hey, lay in the back for a couple days." Feel uncomfortable, and then you'll be better, and we'll film this movie. But it was like the struggle of like, I need more and I need some, because I'm physically feeling it. Mentally I was struggling. And he got upset with me, and again, it was more he yelled at me. He wouldn't talk to me for the rest of the day, but by the next day it was good. So no, we never we've in I guess it's been 30
That's incredible.
5-6 years, we've never had a fight where it was like we didn't talk for a month or 2 months. We've never gotten in a fight like that. He personally has just gotten, again, one time we were both young. He was, I think, like 19 and I was like 15 or something with the card. And then years later, again, it was over drugs, which I understood. And I think it was just, he was just like, I don't know what to do at this point. But yeah, never a fight where it was like, we're not talking for more than a couple hours or a couple days.
Was it hard to kick the dope?
Oh yeah, every time. I mean, again, it was back and forth for years. Now it's been July 2nd was 15 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's amazing,
Thank you.
man.
So,
Yeah.
but before that, like, it was like 4 years, and then 2 years I relapsed, and I was messed up for 2 years. And before that, it was like nonstop sort of. It would be like I get sober for 6 months, a year, and then I would relapse. And it was tough because I feel like I really feel like for years it was all like, hey, you want to do this movie, you got to get sober. So it was always like, or like, my mom was sick, she's passed, but she was sick. And I was like, I got to take care of my mom, so I got to get sober. There was always like other reasons, other people sort of. But the last time, this 15 years, was like, I'm done. I have to stop. Even really, I feel like the time before that, I just feel like I had a little over 4 years, but I got kidney stones, and they gave me Demerol.
Oh man.
In the last probably year and a half, I was like, I'm good, man. I don't need meetings. I don't need to work a program, and I'm fine. And then I got kidney stones, and they gave me Demerol, and I felt that feeling after like 4 years, and I was like, ooh, I remember this. And then they gave me pain medicine to go home. And so they were like, if you want to pass the kidney stones, you got to take these so your body's relaxed. And then next thing you know, it was a week, and then 2 weeks. And then next thing you know, like I just found myself snowballing. I was like, oh no, it's been 6 months and I got to stop. And I tried to stop, but physically I couldn't handle it because I started shaking. And that went about 2.5 years. But then I was with my wife. I had met and been dating for a while. And when we got married, my wife, and I was like, I just got to stop. And that, again, that time it was me again. And I just feel like, so my point is, I feel like it was finally because I feel like I was able to make it this long because of all the support, of course. But I also was like, I want to stop. I can't do this anymore. It's like I'm a mess. So.
Did that help your career? Were you more focused on things?
Oh yeah, I think so. Because then I was right. I wasn't spending my day chasing it, and I feel like the bummer is I do wonder, like, if I wasn't messed up after Dogma and Jay and Bob Strike Back, and this what might have happened, because I wasn't really then like hustling to be like, oh my God, I got to do something else, and maybe I need to go on more auditions, or I need to do this. I just was like, oh cool, and then I wind up like, all right, I wake up and I'm like, I'm sick. I got to find out how I'm gonna get more, and then I'd go get more, and then I'd spend the day doing that, and then I'd wake up and it was the same thing every day, you know? So yeah, it's a bummer, but yeah, I definitely know when I got sober, and definitely, again, Jordan's very like, hey, we got to schedule this thing and do this. She's the one who helps keep me on track, even now, because I'm horrible with like, I'll tell someone like, hey, yeah, let's do that podcast. I'll be there Thursday at 2. And, you know, and then I'll be like, all of a sudden I'll wake up and she'll be like, don't forget you have that podcast today. I'm like, wait, what? But, you know, now we're doing the calendar and stuff. And we even just got, it was really nice. This company, Hearth, sent us this digital calendar that you put on your wall. And so the kids and all of us can wake up and go, oh, okay, we have this today. She has ballet and then that. So, but she's been a big help. And then everyone, and then Kevin, again, always has been around, always supportive and there and stuff. So
let's talk about your stand-up. This is something that you're doing on your own. This is because everything is always connected with Kevin and Jay and Silent Bob, and this is you doing your very own thing. How do you how did you start getting into that?
So it was awesome. You know, Kevin and I toured for, I think it was about 10 years doing the Jam Bob Get Old. While we were doing that, Jordan is the one who booked all of that. And Jordan met all these club owners and promoters and all that. And one of the places was like, hey, has Jay ever thought about doing his own show? And Jordan's like, I don't know. And she asked me, and I was like, yeah, let's try it. And in the beginning, I just went and did my own show, but it was mainly like, I did like 5-minute stories. Like I did like one story and tried to stretch it. And then the rest was Q&A. And then he was like, hey, I have another club. Do you want to go to this city and do my club there? And I was like, yeah, that was fun. I'll do another one. And then I did the same thing. And then all of a sudden we started reaching out and other clubs were like, hey, come here, come here. And it started off for like the first year, just me doing an opening story and to like get it going. And then I would open it up for Q&A. And then as time went on, it was like I would do a 30-minute story and only like 30 minutes of a Q&A. And then I fizzled out the Q&A and I was like, wow, this is like, this is what I'm doing now. And I've been trying to like, I still feel like it's been 3 years and I'm still tweaking it because again, I realize it's like I have a buddy that travels with me and I feel like every time I see him, he has new material. Like if I don't see him for 2 months because we don't have shows, when I see him, he'll have new stories jokes, I guess. He's more of a traditional comedian, I guess, where I tell more stories and put them together and try to make it. But it's like, I realize it's not, for me anyway. I feel like some comedians, I guess it's like easy. They got jokes and constantly writing down ideas and jokes. But for me, it's like I did like a year of the same like 50 minutes of stories. And now I changed it up and I have a whole new 50 minutes. But it's been a blast. I love it. And then like now me and my buddy added where we just do a 2-man show. I do like 45 minutes. He does 20 minutes and then we play a game. And it's been
like
a lot
improv
of fun.
Or something?
Yeah, well, we have people come up and we almost like the newlywed game where we find either two best friends, girls or boys, or a couple, and we ask them each 3 questions about the other one and see if they can get it right. And again, it's something new we're trying out, but it's been fun and people seem to dig it. And if they get all 3 questions right, they get to go pick anything they want from our merch table. So we've been trying to do more stuff like that, like figure out things to make it a little bit different than than traditional. And I noticed that sometimes when you're at a comedy club, like 10 people in the audience are like, hey, we're like, let's go out tonight to see comedians. So we're trying to, like, for me, I'm like, man, we got to still bring something different. So if they come see us and not Craig Robertson, it's something different, and so we can so I can keep it going.
Yeah, you expand your audience to more than just
the J fans, exactly. And then also because I'm like, man, I want to keep doing this, and it seems like right now that this is what I'm mainly doing. Because again, it's like movies and TV for me. It's like I still want to do it, but I'll go in for an audition, and I've never actually. I don't know. No, this is maybe the first time I've mentioned this to anybody. is in 30 years, I've never gotten a TV show or movie from auditioning. Thank goodness people are like, hey man, I think you'd be great as
Yeah.
this guy. I'm doing an indie movie. Or Hawaii Five-O was like, hey, we like you. Come do a bit on our Hawaii Five-O show. We know you like the show. And that's it. I've never gotten it because I'm so bad at it. It's such a different beast that
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
when you stand up there and you're like, don't hit me with that hammer. And you're like, you know,
And
you
they're
got to
looking at you like
pretend.
this.
Yeah, and it's really it's tough. So again, I still try to go on the audition. I mean, again, luckily now they let you do it more on tape.
Yeah.
You know, it's like more of that, so it makes it a little easier for me because then I can like sort of prep and be like, all right, I'm gonna stand here, and
Try
when
it
they come
again.
in, yeah, like maybe the hammer's coming at me, maybe I could pretend to be like that. I don't know. So.
Is it hard, do you think, because you've created such an amazing character in Jay, that people, like you mentioned before with Red State, that we see you come on stage and or see you come on the screen, so then we're thinking, you know, Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, I still think there's still people that are like, oh, he still has long hair, and he's, you know, and he's the stoner guy, and but there's definitely been, it's great. It's usually indie stuff, but again, which I dig. But luckily, I've had a bunch of indie peeps who are like, hey, you're gonna be the silent mute killer in this movie, and we feel like you'd be great at it. So I've had people like. Um, you know, not see me as the Jay character and felt like I could do different characters and didn't worry about that. But I do feel like sometimes casting people like my agent will be like, you know, they're like, they didn't even know your hair was short. They didn't know this. And so I do know that there has to be a handful still of network people who think that. I'm hoping now, like with Instagram and me posting constantly, that they're like, oh wait, he has short hair and a mustache or whatever. So yeah, but it's been a while. I think I haven't been. I would say this new year, 2020, I haven't been on many auditions. I think I've done like two, and like two voiceover things. But one of my favorite things happened this year is I got to be Kevin and I are Jay and Bob and Bluntman and Chronic are in Call of Duty.
Oh, that's
Black
great.
Ops 6. Yeah, so you can play as Jay and Bob in the game, and I also stream on Twitch. So it's great. I've been doing that for like 6 years. And so when I play and I stream, like I'll have like 5 people jump in on my squad and we'll all be Jays. So like we're running around all as me, which is so surreal for me because again, I've been playing Call of Duty for years and years, even while streaming and even before this. So it was a pretty big deal for me.
So here's a business question. You don't have to delve too deep into it, but we have Jay and Silent Bob, characters that Kevin Smith created, but Jay is essentially you. Do you have ownership of this character? Or
Yeah,
a piece
yeah.
of,
So,
okay.
well, Kevin and I owe Jay and Bob.
Gotcha.
Just like the comic book store. But yeah, but I do know the weird thing is, and I still don't understand this completely, but the weird thing is like some of the movies, which I know from like when we wanted to do Mallrats 2 or do something, if I'm Jay, I can't be wearing the same outfit that I wore in like Mallrats because like technically that Jay in that costume, they own
That
the
studio
rights.
owns
Yeah,
it?
which is so
Weird,
weird.
yeah.
Yeah. But Kevin and I, thank goodness he says that this is the bet when he signed the deal, and I don't know the exact details, but when Kevin was at Sundance and sold Clerks, of course he was like, "Oh my God, I'm to Miramax." He was like, "All I want to do is keep the Jay and Bob characters. I want to keep the rights to these characters because I want to do more." And they were like, "Yeah, who cares if this movie's about the Clerks?"
Yeah.
And thank goodness they had no problem with it because then we've been able to do Jay and Bob in other movies, and we have the comic book store, Jay and Bob's Secret Stash in Red Bank and stuff. But yeah, so.
It's crazy because as the movies started getting more popular and Kevin gained more steam as a director, suddenly he's attracting some pretty big name actors and big name stars. Who were some of the greats that you worked with that you learned from or that you appreciated the art that they brought to the table?
Oh, I mean, there's been, I really feel like there's been like Mark Hamill getting to like Bong Silver fight him.
Knocker.
Yeah, as Knocker. And again, but I feel like from him, like Star Wars, all that, like him as an actor is awesome. And then, I mean, there's been Alan Rickman and George Carlin, and I want to say I maybe like watched them and like took a little bit. Again, Alan, I feel like made me, even though it wasn't because I watched him, but Kevin making me
Right.
afraid made me be like, oh, this really helped me memorizing all my dialogue 100% and not just each day like, oh, let me memorize today's scenes.
Yeah.
And then tonight I'll memorize. It really helped me feel like, all right, when I memorize everything and I can go in there knowing most of the scenes and all the dialogue really is a big help. And I feel like when I'm on set, I'm not thinking like, okay, I don't want to mess up this next part. Because matter of fact, that happened, with Reboot. Kevin and I did, when we did Reboot, it was like, I think it had been 10 years or 15 maybe, even since we had done a Jay and Bob, played Jay and Bob for so many years. And with Reboot, I had so much dialogue.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh man, last movie, I freaking Jay and Bob Strike Back, man, I memorized all that, did that. I could play myself. It's easy. The first day I had these big scenes and I kept messing up. And Kevin got so upset. He's like, bro, why do you not know your dialogue? And like we finally get through the scene the first day, and after that, like each night I memorized like 2 or 3 days ahead of time, or I would not go to bed. I was like, I have to know the thing. But again, I think I went into it feeling too cocky of like, I'll memorize this today.
Just playing Jay. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I realized it wasn't that as easy and stuff, especially because, Kevin throws in these big monologue pieces and the word, stuff that's like a tongue twister and stuff. But I don't know. There's been tons. I really feel like each movie, like watching and hanging out, everyone, Affleck, Damon, all of them. I want to say I stole a little bit of everything and got to learn. Kevin, even I got to direct my own movie years ago called Madness in the Method, and like I realized while I was directing, like from watching Kevin, because Kevin edits his own movies, except for Mallrats, Kevin has edited every single one of his movies. So he would like, while we're filming, he'll be like, in the script it'll say, Jay comes down the stairs and busts through the door. While we're on set, he'll be like, you know what? I'm not gonna edit Jay coming down the stairs through the door. I'm just gonna have him coming out the door. Yeah. So like we don't even have to film that. Yeah. So and it saves so much. So I realized, and not on purpose, but just like it was sort of sunk in when I was directing. I was like, you know what? We're not gonna use that because it'll probably cut from this to that, and that we'll use that. So it was pretty cool. So I feel like I have even stolen a little bit from Kevin and all of that. So
every like you mentioned, it was 15 years between Jay and Silent Bob. There's Reboot. Then there's been Clerks II, which was Jay and Silent Bob again, which was a great movie. Does he every few years you get a call? We're getting the band back together again, or how does that?
The great thing is again, and I keep mentioning her, but my wife has produced the last Jordan has produced the last 4 movies or so, and so I get to hear pieces, and I know she finds it annoying because I sometimes hear pieces where on the phone like, oh, right, we're going to meet with these distributors or whatever. And I'm like, wait, what's going on? What's happening? She'll be like, I don't want to get your hopes up. Like, I'm not going to talk to you about it. And I'm like, but I want to know. And plus Kevin and I talk, even like, I feel like him and I since I've had my son and are renovating, Kevin's been going back and forth to Jersey because he has the movie theater. We don't talk as often, but we still talk and we still get to see each other. Like we just recently had done the Oral Sec Tour, which is like, we did like 9 cities. It was, a lot of fun.
What did you do? What was it?
So it was him and I, almost like Get Old. Him and I sat up on stage and we told stories.
Gotcha.
And at the end we read one of his comic books, and we brought an audience member on, which was so much fun. But we wanted to just do something like Get Old, but we didn't want to do Get Old because Get Old was really focused on me being like, hey, at this show I have 2 years, 3 days, or 3 months and 2 days. And then
sober.
Then I would tell a story about, a funny story about doing something crazy while I was getting high, but I can laugh about it now because I'm sober. And we didn't want to do that because now had been almost 15
Right.
years. But he's like, I want to do something. So we told stories just like we did, but we just kept the drug stuff out of it. And then we read the comic, which was different because we used to play a game at the end of the other one. So again, like we hung out for 2 weeks, we had a blast. And then like 2 months later, we did it again. We did another like 8 or 9 cities and hung out. So my point is, him and I still get to like spend time together, hang out. We're gonna be doing in December. We're gonna go to the comic book store and have a Christmas event at the store. We have Chronicon this that. So him and I still keep in touch. So there's never like this surprise. Again, I almost sometimes I feel like hear almost before because like right now Kevin really wants to, and I really want to. We want to do one more Jay and Bob movie called Store Wars because at the end of Clerks III, Jay and Bob own a dispensary, and so in this script, Jay and Bob own a dispensary, and someone moves in across the street, and we're like, "Whoa, this is our turf!" And there's this goofy, dueling dispensaries and stuff.
Right.
So Store Wars.
Yeah.
And we were like, things were looking good about like the financing, distributing, all that, and then like the strike happened, and then like that sort of put a damper on things. And so Kevin, that's the plan, and we're still have hopes for that. We'll see what happens, but it's all just about like back and forth with like, all right, it's this much money, but we're willing to give you this much money, but you're going to cut $2 million, and can we make it work?
Yeah.
And all this type of.
And it's so interesting, like because you would think at this point in time, a Jay and Silent Bob movie has a whole universe of people that enjoy it.
Yeah.
The cruises, you got Comic-Cons, but you still have issues getting financing. It's insane.
Yeah.
Like the other movie that we did, not together, but we were in the same, was Kilroy. Was
Yes,
here,
yeah.
which filmed, comes out, ready to go during the pandemic. I'm thinking people are going to go nuts for this thing.
Yeah.
And Kevin ended up having to sell it as an NFT. The first NFT, maybe the only NFT movie. It's like the movie that no one's ever really seen.
Yes.
But I thought people would be eating this up.
It was great. Yeah, no, it is. I feel like right now in this time and I could be wrong, but I feel like it's in this weird wheelhouse of the budget. Like I feel like people are either doing Avengers movies for 80 million, 100 million, or they're doing $1 million, $2 million movies. And I feel like Kevin's movies always seem to have to be in this, and not because he's like, I need it to be, but it's just like, this is the only way it's going to work. Being here, flying people out, putting them up.
Yeah.
It's always like this $8-9 million budget.
Weird limbo,
and they've always sort of been that. Mallrats, I think, was like $6 million or $7 million. And then, all of them have been this weird number, but I feel like now it's harder to get to that number. Like people are willing to give up $8 million.
The mid-range.
Yeah, they're like, hey, I got $2 million for you, but you're like, well, we need 8, and they're like, oh, or someone's like, hey, I got 80 million and we need a big budget with all these people attached type of thing. So it's tough. I think that's part of the thing. Again, I still 30 years later, I still don't understand that intricate things. My wife knows more, and but they're not giving up. So hopefully, I'm hoping we do Chronicon. I keep doing my stand-up. We do the Cruise Askew in February of next year, and then I'm hoping like middle of next year we start filming the Jay and Bob movie. Like I would love to do one more before I'm too old or like people are like, I'm done with those, so we'll see.
But Kevin's smart, because I remember even with Reboot, it just popped in my head. There wasn't a theatrical release. It was Kevin and you going on the road, theater to theater, doing the movie, and then kind of a little bit of a Q&A live show afterwards. It's like, if there's a way to do it, Kevin and you will figure it out and take it to the streets.
No, it was great. That was definitely a lot of fun, and I know he did the same with Clerks III. And I was on some of that when I just couldn't. Again, I had my the kids and stuff, so it was tougher to leave. But yeah, it works. I mean, I don't know. I know for Jay and Bob, it seemed like the touring just made enough to pay the people back and do this. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's something. I don't know if that's an option with this one, but again, I'm crossing my fingers, so we'll see.
As we start to wind down, you mentioned Chronicon a few times. I know we're both going to be at the Rhode Island Comic Con in November. How do you like doing those? And does it amaze you how many people come there dressed as you? You influence them, you inspired them?
Yeah, I love it. You know, it's been, that's another thing that I've been doing the last couple years that I really enjoy. But I still, it's funny, I have this weird thing. I've gotten to see it change so much. I remember going to a convention, let's say 9, 10 years ago, and like it was like, you know, Danny Trejo and this person. Now it's like so crazy how it's like there's all these TV show actors and the whole group, and there's voiceover actors which they'll have lines at the door, and even cosplayers now. Like I had no idea, that blew my mind. Like I hadn't gone for like a couple of years, and I came back and cosplayers were like all along the wall, and they were charging such and such dollars.
The cosplayers are now the celebrities.
Yeah, they really are, and it's great. But I'm just saying it's interesting because I've gotten to see it like many years and morph. But I love it. I enjoy doing it. I love meeting everyone and sitting and getting to chat with them and seeing all the cosplayers from, you know, a little boy, a little like someone will dress their kids as Jay and Bob, or two girls will come as Bluntman and Chronic, and all that's a blast. And I have this weird fear, though. It's so funny because I have this fear that if I ever go to a con and there's, you know, it's a big one, because I've been to conventions where it's their first year and maybe they get 5,000 people, and maybe I get to see 20 people, and I'm like, okay, so is that person, that person. Everyone's only seeing it. Is like me being there and like someone being next to me, and like everyone has a line out the door, and I have no one, and I'm just like, it really is a weird like thing.
That's where you
like,
go to the bathroom for 20 minutes. I do that all the time,
and I'm like, oh no. So, but again, I honestly do dig them. I enjoy like just that, like how there's always like the you know, the cosplay contest, the costume contest, and then after there's usually like some kind of karaoke party, and so I don't go to them as much to everyone. Sometimes I'll go with a couple of my buddies, but I really dig it. I've had the most. I still have this weird thing where I've really enjoyed. Like I'll go in the green room and Vincent D'Onofrio will be in there. He's like my favorite.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, like and he'll be sitting there talking to like. You know, I don't know, William Shatner and so and so and so. And I've always gone to green room. I've never sat and ate in a green room because even though I've been going to them for years, and there are people, I'll walk by and always be like, hey, what's up? How you doing? Everyone's always nice, but I've never felt comfortable sitting down at a table and being like with a group.
The life of the party,
like it's just always like, wow, this is still surreal to me.
Yeah.
It's awesome because I started for a while bringing these. My luggage is a scooter. So like the luggage, you flip on its side, you pull a thing up and you turn on the power and it's a scooter. But what's so great is it's so many people that I've been afraid to talk to. Vincent D'Onofrio was like, man, I see you on that all the time. He's like, can I pick it up? Is it heavy? And it like gave me that like chance to like, be like, oh my God, I love you. And can I get a selfie? And he's like, of course, you know? And then like one time, you know, it's funny because I'm a big Smallville fan. And every time I see Tom Welling, I'd always just be like, oh shit, there's Tom. And my buddy ate dinner with him, not with him, but they were at the bar in the hotel, and he sat next to him, and they started chatting. He said, just like, oh, hey, how's your dinner? How's the con? Great. And then he's like, oh, why are you here? You like have a vendor? He's like, oh no, I'm here helping Jason Mewes. And he's like, oh my God, I love that guy.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh my God, you got to tell him that he loves you and he's afraid to say hi to you. So the next day I like come in the green room to grab my coffee, and I look over, I'm like, oh, there's Tom. And I go to walk by him, and he just grabs me and hugs me, and he goes, I love you. Like, and I was like, so just the really cool moments like that I'll never forget. Jason Momoa did that. I wanted a picture with him in the professional photo booth. So I asked, my agent asked his agent, can you get a, and as soon as I came in, he's like, hey man, what's up? And then I like sat next to him and he goes, Snoogans. I was like, wait, you know Snoogans? It was blew me up. Anyway.
You never know who's watching, right?
Yeah, I love it. I love the conventions. I really
You nailed it on the head though. I was just thinking the green room, which people who don't know what it's like back then. It's very awkward because you
It
have
is,
all these
yeah.
big name celebrities with huge fandoms, but for us to interact is like, hey, how you doing,
Yeah.
Bill Shatner? I'm Chris Jericho, you know,
Yeah,
and like, you
yeah.
know, is he going to be cool? Is he going to be a dick or whatever?
100%.
You see a bunch of people just kind of sitting by themselves.
Yeah, but then some of them just eat. Like
need an
almost like
icebreaker.
Yeah, like they just sit and eat together and they're chatting and stuff. I'm like, do they know each other from life
From
or
the
just
cons
the
or
cons?
what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I never want to like sit and So it's. I really enjoy it. Even that part I enjoy, even though I never talk. But I'll walk in and it's
Just
always
seeing
like,
the randoms,
yeah,
right?
it's really cool.
Yeah.
It really is.
The last one I did in Seattle, I was a big Star Trek fan when I was a kid, and Chekhov was my favorite, and he was there, and I ended up going to dinner with him, and then we went to the Pauly Shore was doing a comedy show, so it's me,
awesome.
Chekhov, and Pauly Shore, like the most random check mark of guys
Yes.
hanging out together, and it's like this is what the cons are all
Yeah,
about.
100%. I love it.
Last question for you. You've done so many movies and so many parts. Is there something that one of your roles that you really think is your favorite that might not be Jay?
Yeah, I feel like my favorite one that I've got to do, it's more of a like not because I'm like, oh, it was awesome, because I did so well, but I got to do this movie in Canada called Silent but Deadly, and it was just so surreal to me because I got to play this mute killer. So I got to be a killer, which I've been wanting to play. Like I want to play as, some serial killer or some creepy. And I got to run around, but I didn't have to memorize any dialogue. All I said was the weapons I used. So like the first thing I'm like pitchfork, and I wind up killing William Sadler. He was
Nice.
my
Good.
dad, and I freak out because he's calling me stupid, and I wind up putting a pitchfork through him. And then the next one I have an axe, and I'm like axe, and I think so that was really cool for me to do because again. More because it was like, oh wow, I don't have to memorize dialogue. I don't have to wake up and go, oh my god, do I know all my lines? Do I know my? So that was really cool and different for me to play. Trying to think of another one. I would say one of my favorite other jobs that I got to do was the Hawaii Five-0 because I'm such a huge fan of the show. But also they flew me out
to Hawaii, obviously.
Hawaii on a Wednesday. Put me and my wife up, and we had our daughter at the time who was little. Put me and my wife and daughter up in a hotel, and I had to work Thursday. So I filmed Thursday for a few hours, and they're like, hey, we need you next Thursday because we're going to shoot this outdoor scene, and it's a whole nother location. So we're not going to be doing it till Thursday. That's cool, right? And I'm like, okay, you're going to put me up all the way till next day. And they're like, yeah. So they flew me out Wednesday, put me up in a hotel in Hawaii, and we got to stay there all the way till next Thursday when I filmed again and left on a Friday. So it was amazing. I'm like, oh my God, we got a free trip
free
to
vacation,
Hawaii with my wife and kid, and we swam it all week and went sightseeing and stuff. So again, the getting to go to on set and see the different like the basement where they interrogate people, that and the Flash was super awesome too, because like when you watch these shows, it looks so cool the way they edit around it, and looks like a real building, and then all of a sudden you get on set and you're like, it's like a half a wall, and you're like, this is awesome. I'm in the basement of Star Labs and stuff. Like it's really cool. So but those have been a few. And they were different characters. So it was cool.
Do you have a favorite Kevin Smith movie?
My favorite will always be Mallrats, mainly because for me, I was like, that one and Jay and Bob are very close. Jay and Bob Strike Back, because Mallrats was like, again, we filmed Clerks. I went back to my roofing job and didn't think anything of it. Like Kevin was editing it on a steam bag. It took months and months. He went to Sundance, but wasn't any part of that. I just was like, oh, cool, you're going to Utah. And I just kept roofing and doing my day-to-day. Then all of a sudden he's like, we're going to Minnesota and you're going to get per diem. There's stunt guys, wardrobe. You're in a hotel for 2 months or whatever it was. And I was 19 and I had such a blast hanging out with Jason Lee and Ethan Suplee. Like we'd hang out in the mall all day. At night, we'd all go swimming in the hot tub, in the pool, and like just hang out. And it was so much fun for me. And I got to meet Stan Lee for the first time, which was surreal. So Mallrats will always sort of, for the nostalgia and the first and the was my like favorite. That and then Strike Back. I mean, that was when I still was in Jersey. All the other movies, but now I'm in we filmed on a lot for the first time. CBS Radford. And we would just ride around on golf carts, like from one place to the next. And I had so much fun on that one too. So,
Dude, it's great to finally connect with you and
Thank you.
talk for
Yes,
some time.
thank you.
And congratulations on everything, man.
yes, thanks for having me.
Yeah, Snoogans.
Snoogans.